Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Schlage number 35-002. This is an Everest-style key blank in a C145 keyway. The Everest is a natural evolution of the Schlage family of keyways used in non-restricted, non-protected sorts of environments. This is a direct evolution of the classic obverse Schlage 7 keyways: C, E, CE, F, EF, G, FG, the 7. So they don't call them by letters anymore. This is the C145 is what this is? Yeah, C145. There are keyways in this family. The letter C precedes that. I think they've stated that they do that because it is familiar from a marketing perspective. Oh, the Schlage C, everybody knows that. The Schlage C keyway, along with the Kwikset keyway, is likely the most common keyways of all time. So the letter C is used, but then it's the numbers that separate those different keyways. This is an Everest blank, which means that there's going to be a side bit milling in the side of the key, and that is handy because it is a natural evolution of that classic family of keyways that goes back several decades, mid-century, mid-20th century. There's some extra hardware in an Everest cylinder that gives you some increased security, is just simply the bottom line. You would want a C1 or a C family of Everest when you want to evolve past the classic, Schlage keyways. And you can easily specify Everest key blanks, and you'll certainly know the key blank as Everest because it will have a patented logo right there. It's kind of, I think, meant to look like a mountain, Everest mountain, and also the familiar yet new bow of the key blank. It's I think it's larger key blank. It's certainly a larger key blank, may possibly be a thicker blank as well, at least at the bow, depending on what the milling is. Okay, and a C145 is what that keyway is going to look like. Okay, so you can purchase these in really any quantity. You can purchase them. A box of 50 would be not unheard of. If you wanted a box, it would be 50 key blanks. They're not protected. They're not restricted. You may find that it is difficult to get this cut at a big box store. You'll be dealing with commercial distributors such as ourselves to get blanks. And that is exactly why some people will want that. They want to discourage the casual copying of keys. The 35002 even says on it, do not duplicate. And it is very typical. It is very likely that you walk into a lock shop with this key blank and ask that they duplicate it. They'll decline that opportunity. And it's because whoever bought the key blank, their intent was quite clear that they did not want unauthorized duplication. There was nothing absolute about that at all. There's no actual law or rule that states I can't duplicate this key because I can. That's just what we call visual key control. It will dissuade someone who it will dissuade some from copying the blanks, and it will also be the reason someone won't copy the blank because it says do not duplicate. And there you go. Let's switch to the screen view where we can take a look at some supporting documentation for the Everest system. So here is the blank that we're looking at online. 35002, that's the part number of the key, 35002. Then it's a C145 keyway. Now as we scroll down a little bit, we're going to see a directory tree or a structure. And this is what's called a multiplex structure. And down on the bottom here is where we have the keyways. Again, we're doing C145. You can do all of these keyways. The ones that are out here, the C134 and the C345, those are what would be called a simplex keyway, in the sense that they do not participate in a multiplex structure, even though they do in the sense that this all section blank is here. So perhaps calling it a simplex keyway is incorrect, because an all section blank does exist that will pass the C345 in addition to the C000 blank. So a scenario where you would use a multiplex system, you can see that you have a group of 3, you have a group of 3, you have a group of 3, and then you have 3 that do not participate in a group. However, you can quickly get the concept that the C150 operates these 3, and the C120 operates these 3, and so on. You can get the concept that the C200 is going to pass everything the C120 can and the C230 can. And that C345 will only be operated in addition to the C345 blank by the possibility of having an all-section blank. Now, where you would use a multiplex structure, and it's important to know what keyway you're working with, because that keyway's participation in a multiplex environment may or may not suit your obligation or your requirements. Here's an example. Let's say you have a hospital and that you are using, C123, 234, and 235. You have administration, you have maintenance, custodial, and then you have all other doors. But then you have the pharmaceutical closets on the wings in the hospital. You want those to be on a separate keyway altogether, and that's generally how that's done. They will be on a separate keyway, possibly a simplex keyway, but more commonly they'll not be included in the master, in the entire master key structure. They might be keyed by themselves and the great or the great grandmaster or the grandmaster only, or maybe they're just keyed by themselves, NMK, no master key. But you can use the deployment of keyways so that you can creatively tip the advantage to your needs. So if you don't want the possibility of a multi-section blank working your keyway, you might select one of these that would not permit it. Okay, a C345 will not participate in these multi-section blanks. Why would that be advantageous? Well, it's going to be more difficult to get a surreptitiously blank key for this, because C000 may not be something you can just get 1 or 2 of. You might have to buy a box of 50 of them. But the point of the matter is you can use these keyways to creatively help solve your problem. And a real-world example is you have a 3-story building. You've got your tenant as a real estate office, a law firm, and then an architectural consulting firm. You've got 3 keyways, 1 keyway for each floor. The owner of the building can walk around with a C150 key blank and theoretically pass all of these cylinders, but the real estate can't go to the law firm. The architectural consulting firm can't go to the real estate firm, etc. These blanks won't pass each other. So that would be an applicable use of the multiplex structure. Now, a very typical use, and maybe the most common use, is, let's say that I was doing a job of where I had 1,000 doors. Okay, well, you can generate off of this system, off of a single keyway, you can generate over 4,000 theoretical key changes from a Schlage system just using 1 keyway. Well, your 1,000 will be adequately covered. Well, what if I had 6,000 doors? Okay, or what if I had 60,000 doors? You could create your bidding chart with this keyway, then photocopy it, and do it in all these other keyways, and none of these will pass each other. It's the same bidding in the cylinder, but you've then gone about being able to accommodate a very large deployment, several thousands of cylinders, and do so in such a way where you can have a multi-section blank, like here, operate all of those cylinders. Whereas, let's say it's a university campus, 1 dorm room is keyed on the C145. Well, the other dorm room's on a C135, and they can't pass each other. But the engineering department can walk anywhere with their C100. Let's switch to the manufacturer's page, which is here, and let's look at some supporting documents. And a really good one is going to be the Cylinder and Key Blanks Quick Reference Guide. If I were to search that for the 35-002, I'm going to find the one instance of where that key blank shows up. It's right here. Conventional. It's a conventional core, meaning it's not removable or interchangeable core, and it's Everest. Standard for all control keys and D family keys, optional for C family. Okay, so if you want just regular change keys or operating keys, it's a 35002. If you needed a control blank because you were doing removable interchangeable core in a C family, you'd order the 35-003 because that's a different key blank. The front of a the front of your key blank, when you remove the do not duplicate, it will be a 35009. The plain on both sides, if you wanted it plain, you did not want the name Schlage on there, you order a 35015. Okay. Standard for all control keys and D family keys, optional for C family. So our key blanks are plain on one side and showing us the Schlage name along with do not duplicate. So this document is handy because it will show you those options of other key blank part numbers along with all of the other Schlage key blanks on a single sheet. And our classic obverse keyways that I had mentioned earlier are over here. Okay, they do not have the multiplex structure shown for the C family Everest, but it's in that page we just looked at. But then also, there is a document I'd like to show you if you want to dig deeper into Everest. It would be the Everest full-size cylinder service manual. And this is really great because you can find out much more about the Everest family of key blanks. Open keyways, meaning they're not protected, they're not restricted, they're certainly patented, but they're not restricted. You don't need any authorization to purchase open keyways from the factory. On page 19, page 18 goes over everything that we just talked about. Okay, in the sense of different part numbers, how the key will change, your structure here. This document will also show you tools that are needed to cut these keys, to service them. The depth and spacing chart is here for your Schlage system. So if you wanted to cut keys or know more about cutting keys or about the cutting wheel or the code card, if you had a HBC Blitz machine, can be found here. They also talk about the check pin that is in the Everest system. And that is shown here in the bottom of the cylinder. Let's see if we can get a little better look at it, what it actually does. And we certainly will. So in the edge of the key blank, it does have this ledge here, and that is to lift the check pin so that it can clear itself out of the cylinder housing. And this is where our check pin is shown, and when the key is not entered in the keyway, the check pin will be a blockage in the cylinder housing, the core housing. But when the key is inserted, that ledge that's on the key blank lifts the check pin, allowing it to clear, and then the cylinder can rotate. So that's the evolution of the Everest system. It is, you would certainly say that it is a more secure system with that check pin being in place. There's no doubt. There are now, 5, 6 or 7 points that have to be satisfied at a minimum to turn the cylinder. And that is, in essence, what the Everest system is, this mechanical overview. Okay, let's finish up this video on camera. Now, that link to the manufacturer's page will allow you to review not only those Everest documents pointed out earlier, but all things Schlage related in terms of supporting documentation, service manuals, master indexes of templates, archival catalogs from decades ago, current catalogs naturally, and any sort of, as I said earlier, encyclopedic reference. That's the page that will keep it. I'm quite partial to Schlage, and it's because I am certainly a fan of their quality. I don't love all things Schlage. I heard in the world of locksmiths, I heard one of the godfathers of current locksmithing theory basically said, "Would you just leave your products alone?" Meaning, don't evolve them anymore. And I feel that myself, I'm quite sentimental on the B400 series deadbolt, the E series grip, the EB series grip. Quit evolving it. They're modular cylinders, just like things the way they were, so to speak. But this Everest is a nice evolution, which in my opinion complements quite nicely the original material. Now you go beyond Everest to their Everest 29, to their Primus XP, you get into restricted material. Schlage is able to offer you UL 437 compliant restricted keyway systems that will be quite capable of handling the requirements. Fortune 500 companies depend on Schlage Primus for restricted key blanks. I happen to know because I've been part of the process of getting them their hardware and their restricted material from Schlage. Any questions on the Schlage 35-002 and a C145 keyway or any other Schlage product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.